All right, all right, all right. We're going to start in 1 minute. Thank you, everybody, for the collaboration. Hey. You guys be down. In the front. Yeah. You guys be willing to sit in the front. That for me, thank you so much. We always have empty seats in the front. You won't get picked on, don't worry. All right. We're about to start. Get that out of your way. Picked you guys. All right, we're gonna start very, very soon. Please find a seat. The drinks are in the fridge, if you guys didn't notice. It's right there. We got... Actually, I can't say that. Are there enough chairs? I think there are enough chairs. There's more chairs up in the front if you guys want to move up. You guys gonna stand in the back, that's fine too, but... Are you guys sponsors? Oh, you guys are sponsors. Oh, cool. All right, awesome. All right. I guess we can start. Oh, do we know where Vera is? Vera? Where's Vera? I can start without Vera. I just don't know where she is. Vera, we're going to start in a bit. I'm going to hand over the mic to you. Okay, we should start. Cool. All right. Hey, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming today. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Tom. My name is Tom Nakata. I'm one of the co-hosts of this fabulous event today. Thank you all so much for coming. Before I hand off the mic to our other co-hosts and get right into the content, I just wanted to do a super quick introduction of myself and the sponsors and do a little thank you, if possible. Just a quick introduction about myself and what we do. I'm one of the co-founders of a startup called Qlay, Qlay. I'm the co-founder and CEO. The co-founder and CTO is right there doing the live streaming. My background's mostly in consulting, but what we do as a company at Qlay is actually we build an AI proctor that catches interview cheating. And how we do that, or how we know that it's a problem, is because we do a lot of interview candidates or candidate interviews, and the stats show that around half of the people you interview for candidate interviewing or hiring are using, tools like ChatGPT or whatever tools on their screen and just generating answers on the fly. So they're really, the traditional way of interviewing candidates is really obsolete. So we were building an AI proctor that would catch AI cheating during interviews through things like eye gaze tracking, eyeball tracking, or we use a secondary camera to see what's on your monitor, or analyzing speeches and speech patterns and things like that. So we're essentially just killing a bunch of AI cheating tools out there. We also do another business on the side, which is using tools like the AI Proctor to hire good people on your behalf. So it's kind of like an interviewing service / recruiting service. So we use AI Proctors to hire, engineers that don't cheat their way through their interview process is what we do. And we have an AI model to basically just do the whole sourcing and screening processes of engineers when you need to hire those people. Quick PR about our upcoming event, which is on September 3rd. We're doing a startup pitch event in San Jose with different VCs. I think as a judge, we mostly have investors and partners from different venture capital firms. So if there's startups in the audience and you want to get pitch experience, feel free to go to the Luma page, and there's an application form for startup pitches. So feel free to do that. That's it. That's my part. This is my last page. This is a campaign. We do at every event of ours. It's a QR code that has the QR code to a demo with us. And if you book a demo in the next 48 hours, we give a heavy discount to the aforementioned interview sourcing and the sourcing and screening services for free. So you get a lot of free hours working with the engineer. It's like a heavy discount. I'm happy to explain it to you further. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over my mic to our good friend over here. But thank you very much. Please give a round of applause to Natasha.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natasha, and thank you so much for coming today. I'd like to thank Qlay for partnering with us. I, along with Swagata, co-lead the chapter for Women in Data for the San Francisco Bay Area chapter. And today, as you all know, the theme for this event is AI in design, where we'll be discussing how we can reframe AI not just as a tool, but reflect upon its collectiveness or as a collection of values, creativity, and conscience. I'd like to call upon Swagata to talk more about women in data.
Hi, everyone. A quick question for all the ladies in the crowd. Have you been in a room in meetings where you're the only woman? Show of hands. Right. I have been there too, and it's really frustrating. So which is why we started a community called Women in Data. So Natasha and I co-lead the chapter to encourage women to participate in data careers. And we have a community of over 20,000 members across 30 countries. So our mission, as I said, is to expand and encourage women to take up more data careers. So whether you're starting out, you're fresh graduate, or you've been in the industry for many, many years, you're welcome to join us at any stage. Our vision is by 2030, we want to have 100,000 members, and we want to have 50,000 impacted programs. And like I said, it's all about building a community to encourage women to take up an AI career. We want to build a very supportive community which provides mentorship, guidance, and support to all women. So feel free to join us. It's called and we have chapters all across the world. Our code, so I'm looking forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, Swagata. I'd now like to call upon Vera, without whom actually this event would not be possible because she brought all of us together. She'll be talking about her company and also an interesting activity that she has planned for you all.
So I have a script, but we know scripts don't work. So we're just gonna put this over here and just hope that the audience likes what I have to bring. Can we move to the next slide by any chance? This is me, obviously. My name is Vera. I'm a UX researcher and startup founder. And do we ever have those experiences where we ride the BART and we don't really understand what it's saying in the announcements? Well, I'm here to help you create good services and products that help alleviate that confusion, help create that excitement when you jump into a Waymo, you feel on top of the world, jamming to your music. So I've come with about 4 to 5 years of experience in UX research and startups and run customer insights. What we particularly do is we create passionate advocates and craft clear experiences and do targeted engagement that translates, winning customers. So I'm not going to read off the slide, but the long story short is that we try to create experiences that resonate with users past just, conversion. It's something that makes you be like, I want to use the BART because it's a great experience, not because it's just a mode of transportation. So going to the next slide, I'm going to introduce our activity. If it loads. Here we go. So day in your life. So if you guys notice, there's a small handout right by the tables. And this is a way for us to kind of really think about what those experiences are that make us, annoy us, maybe anger us, fill us with warmth. And so this activity is to help you choose your app. It can be DoorDash, Splitwise, map your pain point, and use an AI-assisted solution. So this is an async thing. You're not required to do this like any take-home assignment, but it's just for us to start thinking of, how our biggest pain points affect us deeply and how AI could potentially help those. If you're curious about my agency, to talk to me, and however I rehearse this, please feel free to find me. I'll also be your moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Vera. I'd now also like to thank our sponsors who've been very gracious enough to help us with this event, and they also have their booth set up. So our first sponsor is Thesis. Is someone from Thesis here? Yes? Okay.
Just in time. Hi, folks. I'm Parikshit. I'll probably take just a minute to explain what we do. I'm a designer turned founder. A year and a half ago, we raised about $4.5 million. We're building something we call generative UI, which we believe is the future of interfaces. The whole idea is that until now, we were building traditional interfaces, static, fairly linear, fairly predictable. But with AI, there are almost infinite possibilities you have to design for. And it's impossible to design them. It's impossible to build it. It's impossible to scale. And that's where generative UI comes in. You don't need to go to Figma, design something, get it developed. The system itself figures out what's the best interface and renders it on the go. I ran here, so I'm out of breath. But I'm around, would love to tell you more about Thesis and what generative UI does. But as a designer, I believe it's the future of AI interfaces specifically. And it's how things are going to evolve for all of us. Is that a minute? All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. Well, you made it just in time. Our next sponsor is Okahu AI. Someone from Okahu is here? No? Okay. Our next sponsor is Ro. Yes.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. My name is Lars. I'm with Row Banking. So our clients often tell us that we are the best banking platform for startups and VC-backed companies for really three main reasons. The first, we have the largest and safest partner bank in the space. Second, we have the highest rates. So that's like highest cash back on card spend, and that's highest yields on our treasury products. And last, if you call me on my personal cell phone at 2 o'clock in the morning, I will pick up. I will care about it as much as you do, and we'll get it done then and there. Everything from our integrations, from our features, from our tailored onboarding team that sets up your account, your cards, your integrations for you is completely free. And we also have no contracts. So that forces us to win you and your team over every single day. I love being proved wrong. Doesn't happen a lot, at least with this, with some other things, definitely. So if you have some strong opinions on the competition, please come find me after. I'd love to have a little convo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our final sponsor is Assistant UI. Yes.
Hello, I'm Aaron from Assistant UI. So I'm going to keep this really quick. Who here likes ChatGPT's experience? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then who here has ever thought about integrating a chatbot either internally or externally within their company? Yeah, so did I when I discovered like my co-founder Simon, who built the first version of Assistant UI. And Assistant UI basically lets any designer or developer integrate like a ChatGPT-like experience with extreme numbers of customizations. And it's also fully open source, so the developers of your organization will love it. Anyways, we're in the back, so if you have any questions or you want to check us out, we're assistant-ui.com.
Thank you. And now, for the one question that I think we've been asked the most, when is the panel discussion? It is now. And I'd like to call upon Vera, who will be our moderator. And then our panelists, amazing panelists. So please clap for them as I call them on stage. Our first panelist is Aishwarya. Our next panelist is Gabriella. Our third panelist is Ronak. And our final panelist is Michelle.
Wait for everyone to trickle in here. And I guess I'm sitting here. Oh, yes. Oh, I have to, it's all good. A little bit of chaos keeps things spicy, huh? All right. Is the feedback good? All right. Thank you guys so much for coming to the panel. Thank you so much, Michelle, Ronak, Gabriella, and Aishwarya for joining us. It's an amazing panel, especially with, AI being so abundant right now. So the first question I'll first pose to Michelle and then to Gabriella. What is a way that you've used AI that you found you've had to adjust to be human-centric? part that we have to put into when designing. So I'll open it up just to like Ronak and to Ashwar if you want to add anything till we jump to our next question. A lot of valid points. I'll bring it back to Michelle, and anyone feel free to chime in. So if AI joins the design table, we're talking a lot about this. Is it a collaborator, a co-creator, or something entirely new, maybe annoying? And how does that alter not just the process, but the purpose behind what we design? Oh, that is like, it's hard, especially here. I'll ask like Aishwarya next, unless one of the speakers wants to add to Michelle's really compelling. Sure. Yeah, so let me just go ahead and say, when it's you and the AI creating side by side, what's the human superpower in the room? And does that make the process something more than just automation, just prompting?
Really trying to tell the AI that, hey, this is what I'm trying to convey to the user. This is what I want them to feel. This is how I want them to use the product. No matter how much I feed my documents to the AI, it somehow doesn't get it right. So there is still a lot of trying to set the vision and trying to convey what you want the user to feel. I think that is definitely one human superpower. And like I alluded to before, once it creates something, I think it's a great fast starter. After that, you still have to finesse it, you still have to tweak it. And there again, like the human superpower shines. You can get it close to like 50, 60, 70, maybe with expert prompting, close to 80, 90%. And I think that's the creative process, telling it step by step, this is what you do, this is what you do, so as to not overwhelm it, but still drive it towards the outcome that you want. So high level setting the vision and then trickling down and like distilling it into an actual good design. I feel like that's where the human superpower is.
I agree with that. Any of the panelists want to add any additional thoughts? All right. Next, I'm going to point this question at Ronak. This is again in the same pathway, but specifically, how can designers and AI engineers create feedback loops together that keep improving the AI model while also making the user experience better over time? Aishwarya and Ronak, and all of you have some experience with this. So.
Thanks a lot. So you create those feedback loops, and as designers, it could be as simple as putting a survey inside the product and understanding who your target audience is, to actually doing user interviews and trying to understand, what the user actually wants from the product. So your features could essentially come from the designers. But at the same time, when engineers come into the picture, it's more about data, it's more about analytics, it's more about, hey, where did the user drop off? What's my churn rate? Why is it churning out? And then you always take that user data back, and then you keep retraining your models, right? So your models are completely trained by the engineers, while the entire empathy loop, or who are you building for, what do they actually need, is brought in by the designers. So it's very important to kind of co-create and co-review the product at every stage, while engineers bring in that expertise and tell us, okay, how are people dropping off? What happened last week? Why is your WAU or DAU going down? Versus, hey, the user used the product and he's a super user, probably used it for an hour. Maybe we can take it to 2 hours by adding maybe another feature. So I think that's where co-reviewing process and collaboration comes in.
Do you have any thoughts, Aishwarya or Gabrielle?
I can go. And I think it's so important what you were saying. If you are lucky, you have this junction, the two teams working together, but in a lot of places that I worked, we didn't have the two teams working together. They were two separate entities. So engineers were building all this feature, new capabilities, and it was like a mess because no one could use it, but then we would not have a design team and they would not understand why there was onboarding, especially onboarding, a lot of friction on the onboarding. And how do? You don't have a team to rely on of designers. And I feel like it's more common than you think, unfortunately, where these two teams, they don't talk to each other, especially when you have so many products. Like, for example, Microsoft, we had so many products, and each product try to compass different audience. So if I was a startup onboarding on this big platform, my onboard experience was a mess. But if I was an enterprise, the onboarding was okay because I'm kind of okay with this type of software. But as startup, you think of this needs to be I need to get up and running in seconds. I cannot wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes to understand your product. So I think it's a great point that we need to have this collaboration. It's so important, especially in this new era of AI.
I can add a little bit of color for how do we construct feedback loops to improve the model.
in our product, so I do a chatbot product, and there was a very interesting talk by Anthropic's team where they have one PM who's just monitoring the thumbs up and thumbs down feedback rate and just looking at what types of user queries produce thumbs up or thumbs down. And just by having one person just laser focused do that, they were able to significantly improve their product experience for their users. And we've learned a lot from that. So even at a big company, like we still see what's happening in the industry, what other folks are doing. And we take this, these learnings very seriously. So we personally look at a lot of verbatim user feedback, plus just user behavior data, where they're clicking, what are they doing, what are they saying, running surveys, running UXRs. And we've created rituals. So every weekly meetings, someone would have the responsibility of finding 2 or 3 pieces of feedback that the team should know about. And over time, even if you do it weekly for a period of few months, you will find patterns like win patterns and loss patterns in your model that you can then go back and tell the engineers that hey, this is where we are losing out on. Like these are the types of questions we're not able to respond to. I'm speaking mostly about the chatbot product, but we scale the framework to other products. And then we work on it for we change the prompt of the product and it starts to address those loss patterns.
You want to go ahead, Michelle?
I wanted to add to that because I think from a chatbot perspective, for agents, I feel like at all companies has a problem where there's a lot of people who chat in, right? Customers who chat in with their problems. Looking at the data at Nimble as well, what we actually looked at is there definitely are trends with the questions that people have. And to save you a lot of money on your tokens, a lot of that information through your chats you can actually identify and actually put outside of the chat experience to or as well. In a way, it's like thinking through the user experience of what brings them into the chat, into AI in the first place, and then taking that piece of information outside into your product to serve the user before they even.
Yes, 100% can relate, especially when you're a startup and you're just trying to build. As we were saying, you have to remember the biggest skills that our panel has addressed. So our final question, I'll first start with Gabriella, and then please everyone else add your spice to it. How do we guide AI to mirror the best of us, our compassion, empathy, and coexistence, instead of spotlighting and spreading the biases we already carry, because it already happens, even without us wanting it?
That's a very hard question, which I don't know the answer. Well, actually, I know. I think because all the models are trained in this huge corpus of data that there is a lot of bias, unless we do diversify the same questions and the same things that we have done in the past, we discussed in the past. It always go back to the data and how your data represents the population, if it's diverse. So it all starts with that. So if you don't change that, it's very hard for you to not carry the bias, all the prejudice and everything else that, how do you mitigate that later on? It's much harder if you do that in the very beginning. So that's the only way. The other way is also to have people, human in the loop, to be able to address those issues before they appears, ideally, right? That's it. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
I'll probably bring in a more design perspective to it. I feel like while AI can automate a large part of our designs today because they understand, it understands the patterns and the behaviors of the users, which is you have certain panels on the left, you have a hammer right, so it understands all of that, right? But what it doesn't understand is your signature inside. Imagine it to be like a painting, and being a designer, you need to leave some kind of signature inside. So I think that's really important because when you are designing for a particular area, location, geography, there has to be a cultural nuance added to the design, and I don't think AI is ready yet to add those kind of cultural nuances to products just yet. And I hope not, because that's what designers do best. They bring in the products and understand and empathize with the user. So I think that's a very important aspect of
I think I totally relate to what Ronak said. Even on the product side, if we use AI to, get over the blank canvas problem and write a first draft of a document or a PRD, it is extremely that you have to have some point of view to make it. And like he said, leave your signature, right? Leave your mark on it, leave your tone on it. I have seen many of people write documents. You can tell immediately that it's written by AI. There is no question about it. AI has this thing, it says, it's not just about this, it's about that. There are such phrases that you can point out that are AI written. So you have to do the work to sound more like you. You can ask it to generate ideas and maybe give you bullet points, a skeleton to help you get started. I think that's awesome. But right now, like everyone said, it's at a stage where you still get it to something.
I think I mentioned earlier that as you use AI today, it's still limited in terms of how far you can take, but that can also change very quickly. In terms of from the collaboration aspect, I want to come back to that, is it's actually quite amazing how fast you can create when you have different perspectives in the same room working on a live document, because the way that a lot of the AI prompting works today is through text. And so when you think about a product perspective of a PRD, you're essentially doing that, but prompting AI. And so when you're doing that from a product perspective, like what are the business success metrics, what is the outcome that you're looking for, to the design, you have to train your AI to be able to take in all of these insights into the product and for it to create something that is closer to what you want to start out before you iterate more.
So, do we know how much time we have left on the panel? Do we have Okay. So I'm going to go off script here. As you guys know, I'm a founder. I'm curious, what is the most unusual thing that AI has done when you're prompting it? And how do you think, our human senses are sort of tuned to catch that versus AI not catching that? Can be like you're writing a PRD and let's say ChatGPT does not know the geographical data of Brazil. Only someone from Brazil can catch that. Does anyone want to jump in? I know it's a question not on the list, but I'm just curious.
I don't know if it's something similar, but I'm working on something that I have to put together, and then I prompt, and then it gives me the outline, and then I ask to change something. And then it goes completely sideways. And I'm like, no, we are talking about this. Why are you talking about this other thing? It kind of messed up everything that we were doing, the whole script outline. It was going in a beautiful direction. And then something that I said kind of confused the chat GPT, for example, the LLM, that now it's giving me something completely random. And I'm like, where did I lose you? And I couldn't understand what happened. And so that was an example that happened over and over and over again, where it's it was working beautifully, and then something that I asked to change over there, they screw up. They did something completely messed up. So that was the best example that I could think of. Nothing to geographic. I don't ask those type of questions, very hard questions or math. But something that I was not expecting them to not follow was what happened.
How many of you have tried asking ChatGPT your personal life questions? So I think that's where it hallucinates the most and gives the most generic responses. Even if you add your birthday into it, it'll probably become a horoscope teller, and those horoscopes are super generic. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, all right, is this how a lot of these AI astrology apps are being built, where you just get very generic responses? And that was something where I was like, okay, this doesn't work. Bad way to reflect on yourself.
With all of the different models, I primarily use ChatGPT, Claude, Stitch. There's a lot, but it's really great to see how many startups there are in AI, because there's it's so powerful to have so many different verticals, because that's where I think a lot of the specificity comes in. Otherwise, you have all of these different results.
To add on a fun example, I remember I was prompting one of these coding AI platforms, like prototype something. And after a while, like how Gabriella was saying, it totally went off the rails and it gave me Hello World programs. And I was like, what? I literally type what? And then the AI says, yeah, I know, right? Hello World is pretty amazing. Oh my God, you've gone off the rails. So yeah, it does that sometimes. That doesn't take a keen eye to catch, but I've tried asking it questions like, hey, I'm joining this product, like what should I ask my engineers to get onboarded onto the LLM architecture stack? Because I want to understand it deeply. It knows where I work, like I give it that context that I work at YouTube, but the kind of questions it gave me to ask my engineers were pretty generic, and sometimes they go beyond the scope of like Google products. And like, okay, and I wrote it and I gave it to my engineer and he asked me, he was like, Aish, did you use AI to write this? So I did not catch that, but there was a bullet point where it talked about like external technologies, which we would.
So I think we're almost wrapping up. I think it would be fun for each of us to like maybe share a tip or how like a designer, engineer, how you would embrace AI. So my tip is like, I'll go last because I want the speakers to have the highlight, but who would like to go first in sharing their tip?
That's actually a really good question. My tip as a designer,
Yep. Very interesting.
yeah, like one tip. I actually would say my tip is to go specific on your prompts for AI, because you yourself already have a vision around what you're looking for or exactly what you are thinking of in terms of that outcome. And in a way for you to go into the specificity will help you get to where you want to go.
Right, so I went through an accelerator program, and every Thursday every founder comes in and gives AI tip of the day. So very used to doing this. But my AI tip of the day is I recently started using Gemini and OpenAI's deep research, and that helped me to collate a lot of data really quick and fast. And that was like very, very accurate, but it just works on very limited items. Like it worked when I wanted to go to a list of investors and be like, hey, can you filter out people who invested in B2B SaaS, in design, with this ticket size, and gives you precise information. So it's very easy for us to clean up data and then take out Excels to kind of automate the emails, LinkedIn, rest of the marketing. So I think that's one very powerful AI tool that we started using, combined with a bunch of automation.
Probably you know I'm not a designer. I try to play a designer or to use a designer hat. I love designers. I think if I could, like the first person that I hire, if I could, would be a UX designer. It's so important. Every time that I'm running teams, I try to bring a UX designer to my team because I think it's so important. And I'll talk about the AI later, but if you are a designer and you are sitting over there, please do know your value. Like the companies might not know your value, but you are so valuable and they have no idea how valuable you are. So hang in there because we'll need you more and more and more than ever before. My now AI tip, it's a different one, and I think was part of the question is like, how do I stay up to date with the whole AI news, which is very suffocating in a way, and it's like always in this catch-up mode, trying to learn what is going on. Like there is no way, it's like missing the train every day, it's impossible. So nowadays I try to focus on the things that make sense for me, and like the other things that doesn't matter, that are not related to my space, I'll just forget it. So I try to be a little bit more focused because there is an overload of information, and like the more you know, the less you know, or whatever. whatever is the saying. Like, so try to focus. So then you do a bunch and you do nothing, right? So this kind of thing. And use the tools. Like, have some opinions about like, oh, this tool is better because of X, Y, and Z. I tried this because it works better on my case instead of like not doing or not using AI at all.
One thing that I do when I'm using these tools is I tell the AI before it goes about on its business to ask me clarifying questions, and I let it go on. If it wants to keep on asking me questions, I let it go on for a few minutes because I would rather that it gives me a good first draft of anything, be it design prompt or a product prompt. And that has been very, very helpful personally for me. I don't know if it's been tested at scale, but it does work. It does give me a more grounded response to what I'm looking for.
Anyone else want to add to that? Otherwise, I'll give a very quick thing. As a team of one at my UX research consultancy, I probably try to treat AI like a human, but try to like remove the empathy because I'm kind of doing like that part. So I'll have like multiple models running and frame the same question at them and see how they come up and then choose one pathway and then alter the way I engage with each of the AIs and see where their strength points are. So the next time I think you prompt with an AI, think, what can it do that I can't, and how can I learn from the experience? So you're not like, oh my God, AI is dominating the world, I'm left behind. Every time you engage with AI, how can you be smarter? How can you advance yourself? So the aim is be smarter than AI, be more empathy, because we're all lovable, we're humans, right? I think with that, do we have any questions for the audience? Thank you so much to our wonderful speakers. Woo! Huh? Yeah, we can. All right, here. First we have 1, 2, 3, fourth row. Please introduce your name, and thank you so much.
Hey guys, am I audible? I don't think this is working. Hello. Yeah. So, guys, my name is Dhruv. I lead product for a SaaS company. With so many design minds on the panel, I've been most curious about one question. If you look at design, right? Most e-commerce apps look similar, right? Similarly, today most AI apps are looking like nothing but a chat interface, right? Now, as per you guys, what will this AI experience evolve into? Will it remain chat? Or do you think what will be the default AI experience that humans will interact with, both in enterprise or B2C?
As I mentioned during our call, I have a lot of opinions, so that's why I talk a lot. So the future, luckily, it's not going to be chat. So it's going to be voice. It's going to be the next phase. I don't know how the interface is going to look like, but I can tell you that voice is going to be more and more and more used, and it's going to be the default way of us communicating with the AI system.
I have similar but different perspectives. So been designing for 10 years, done about 100 e-commerce, evolved over time, and then CRO became the main thing, where you kind of look at optimizing for conversions. And then slowly, there's a book which you follow, your e-commerce kind of works fine. Similar is with every single time the interface progresses, like your dashboards always have a panel on the left. So some of these things will stay in your interface because those become patterns which everyone in their head are so used to that if you disrupt them, it's super difficult for the human to understand the next part. But what I felt, adding to your point, is I started using an app out of SF called Whisper Flow. I don't know how many of you have seen it. I hated Siri. I hated every other Android. Like, I'm typing 1,000 times audio to text and it just doesn't work. For me, what works best is not to send audio messages, but to do audio to text. But culturally, if you look at Japan or if you look at China, those people use a lot more audio messages than they use text messages. Right? So I think it's going to be a mix of audio and the chat interface that we have today. That's where I think it's going to be heading, but definitely retain some elements of what we all build in our head and start using it as well.
Just to add one more thing, I think it's going to go even beyond because with the whole AI agent, you're not interfacing with anything anymore. They are doing all the work for you. So like it's going to be something that we still don't know. Even with the familiarity, I think it's going to change as we go, because like you don't have to know where things are. You're going to say, and then the agent is going to do the things for you as you speak.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like voice, the density of information that you can convey with voice, I don't think there's any other good modality that does that, especially when AI can process such complex and amazing amounts of information. We have this thing that we call UI as slot machines. So what Gabriela was saying, that you don't know what UI is going to look like. There are conversations that, oh, there might be no set pattern. The UI is generated on the fly. That thought is a little bit scary because, you know, that familiarity and discoverability when you see UI presented to you in some ways is kind of good for product growth and product usability. Then you might be left to your own devices and your own imagination to get the agent to do what you want it to do without like the support of, you know, any UI to look at. That would be an interesting world. Let's see where that goes. But yeah.
People are really good at adapting to new things and really good at adapting to a new world as well. In that sense, AI right now as chat, even I would say chat's not where it will be in the future either. There's still a lot of room for growth for chat. Obviously, there's areas for all of the different modes in different scenarios as a user. So there is a place for every type of mode as well. I think the main thing here is just to say, it really just depends on the space you're in, what you're looking to do for the outcome.
Do we have any other questions in the audience? Please introduce your name as well. Thank you so much.
Hey everyone, I'm Sayam. So making things have never been easier before, like making things tangible ideas, right? What is your opinion? Like, do you think that's the new normal? Make things fail fast, iterate, and what would be the impact of user research in this process? Any thoughts on that?
User research becomes a lot faster, and it becomes even more important because what AI is really good at is synthesizing. I remember back then when we do research, synthesis takes days. Now it takes 5 minutes. So that's, I think, a huge game changer. But to your question, you know, with the design, like UI as it is today, like it requires more critical eye and a critical thinking around, does it actually solve or the solution that you're trying to get at, right? I keep coming back to this, but it really is so important for us to critically think.
I feel like we've always been trying to do things fast and fail fast, right? Now with Lovable, Base 44, a bunch of other vibe coding tools, you can get your first version out in like days or hours of sitting and kind of building something. The problem arises when you actually put it into production. Some of the tools like ours, we are compatible with Figma, HTML, etc., because we want you to take it, put it inside your original system, and then analyze and build on top. Because you cannot go from 0 to 100. Being said that, research, like she said, kind of increases a lot more in weightage because now you are iterating really fast. The more the number of iterations, the more research kind of goes in. Because every time you launch a new experiment, launching experiments have become so much easier. Every time an experiment is launched, you need to look at the results and then calibrate it back. So that's where research becomes even more important. And I think the roles are fading a little bit. We started calling people design unicorns who are essentially doing product management, a bit of research, a bit of design. We used to have UX and UI designers, now just product designers. The designers. So I think the lines are going to blur a little bit, but it's going to keep adding on to more and more research, depth into the product.
as a UX researcher, even though I'm not the moderator, I am sort of obligated to give my opinion on this. As much as we love launching things fast, I've worked with a lot of B2B startups moving fast. I've had a client saying, you have 24 hours to build me a prototype. What are we going to be able to do in 24 hours? Yeah, I can build you a prototype. I can get you connected to some users, but is that going to be of quality? When do you show that to a user? Are they going to be like, oh yeah, I want to use that. Woo! No. No, and like 50% of like the surveys I've done, no. You have to, I think doing fast UX research is a really good thing, but you need to incorporate the human in it. So if you're doing evaluative research with your AI, I commend you, but please run it by a human. It can be, you know, your partner, it can be a random person on the street, because there's a certain nuance to UX research that does get missed when you prompt AI, no matter how good it is. Because there's a human. There's a reason we're talking here. The questions are generated by us. Because our power is to talk, to communicate, to connect, to bond. AIs, as far as I know now, can't touch us through, you know, the screen yet. But yeah, those are my 50 cents. I don't know if anyone wants to follow up to that.
A lot of times when I've tried to do user research, the biggest problem is people are always nice to you. So when you ask them for feedback, 90% of the times, or at least 80% of the times, you'll get the wrong feedback. So when researchers come into the picture, they make sure they ask the same question in 4 different ways so that you ensure that you get the right response. I think that's where I was arriving at.
Any other questions? Back 1, 2, 3, 4th row. Please introduce your name and everything. Thank you guys so much for being engaged and so on the panel. Really excited to have all of you guys here.
Hi, I'm Tarika. I'm a product design. Oh, audible? Okay. I'm Tarika. I'm a product designer for AI agents at AWS. My question is, I think 30% of my job is actually designing. Most of my job is actually curating the requirements, and I end up writing the product briefs, tackling stakeholders, and a lot of other stuff. So there are a lot of tools for the 30% of my job, but what about the 70%?
Well, that's a tough question, and I'll probably answer it. I have to defend my design every single time to over 100 customers that I've kind of served over the last decade. I'm not really sure if there's a tool that can do that. It can probably look at your design today, because when we were doing experiments, we ran a bunch of UI and like, okay, what do you think was the design sensibility around it? What do you think the designer would be thinking? It gives you very vague points. So that's something that I feel as designers, we have to still go ahead and defend our designs and why we built it and stuff like that. And a lot of times it gets shut down because product managers are like, hey, but the data says otherwise, which anyways we have to agree to, because at the end the business needs to do it. So it's a tougher fight when you're at AWS or a much bigger organization, because everything is so tightly coupled with your design systems. Even moving a button from like 2 pixels could like get thrown off like 1 million users, right? So that's been a challenge that I am facing as well. I've never found any AI tool yet to kind of solve for it.
Exactly. I was going to say, get a PM. This is their job. Till we get replaced by AI, tell your PM to do this. That is literally the job.
Patrick, and I've been working front end, or was a front end developer in healthcare space, stuff. One of the projects I was working on was this processing pipeline, all of this tooling, internal and external, around that. Most of which was not documented. People have come, gone. So a lot of like kind of those challenges of what is this product supposed to do? Was it built the correct way? Who knows about this? One of the things that got added in this whole AI push, in addition to the developer AI stuff, was Confluence AI, where it like pulls in all these documents, right? And it's true when you're programming too. Like, it's very important to have enough context for AI. So like, the more you can have documented, even if it's like completely unstructured in your Confluence, tagged. help you identify, like, here are the three people to talk to get an answer on this. Here is the rationale, and you can have AI summarize, copy and paste Slack messages. So not a complete solution, but how you can integrate it. Oh.
We have room for 2 more questions, and then, of course, we should have some networking too. If anyone wants to ask any other follow-up questions or the speakers want to make any last comments.
Hi, I'm Amy. I come from a world of content design, and I'm curious how any of you, each of you, think about content design and AI.
Style becomes really important in a product for content because microcopy is so important with how it performs with your users. We've done a lot of A/B testing. If you think like emails, right? There's companies who A/B test just the subject line. There's 100 of them that they're testing through. I think with AI, you can iterate on that a lot faster, but content is really important in terms of how deep or what layers and what is the goal that you're trying to get. I think from Nimble's perspective, because we are a prescription delivery service company, that primarily, we're trying to fulfill prescriptions for independent pharmacies, and these patients can live really close to the pharmacy, really far from the pharmacy, either delivery or pickup. In these situations, how we even use the language actually changes how the user decides if they want to interact or leave the platform. So we've done a lot of that with lifecycle marketing as well.
Yeah, I think with AI, the boom in the content is, right? So it's just writing everything. Our product generates close to about 20,000 screens every day. And a lot of that copy is okay. It's not up to the mark is what I feel. And I think it becomes even more important because conversion matrix really depends on what the user is reading, what's written on that button, what's written on the minutest of your tooltips, because if it's a new tool, obviously you need to make sure the user understands what you're trying to going to. Email marketing, another big area. We do about 30 odd copies just on the subject line to test our open rates and click rates, and that varies from 1% to 9% sometimes. 9% being the North Star, kind of got it in one particular email. But then that's I think, very, very important, and that's not going anywhere because the moment you start using AI copy anywhere today, you're just penalized for it across SEO, across browsers and everything else. I think it's one of the most important skills and most difficult hire. To find a UX writer, I think, has been the most difficult hire.
I also want to add that personalization becomes really important with AI. And so that's actually a huge part is identifying the different segments and how you want to personalize the content. That's really how we've used it.
We have room for one more question? Okay. And thank you guys so much for being such a wonderful and engaging audience. An applause for the audience. Woo!
Thank you. Hello, I am Cecilia. I have a humanity background, actually, and I'm right now a designer, freelance designer. I am kind of designing during weekday, and I teach yoga during weekend. So that's kind of stands like who I am. So my question is actually, I really appreciate all the design experts shared a lot of opinion on how AI is changing like the way we work and sharing opinions about like how we interact with AI. But actually, I have the question of like, what do you think that if AI would change the way people interact with each other? And if AI would change the whole like social dynamic of our world? That's the question.
I have big opinions on this, of course. Yes, it's changing. If you think about like the whole critical thinking, we are losing that. Especially young generation, that are using all this technology, they cannot think anymore without, they have to go and search. Like they don't have this capacity to go and engage with you in a conversation. And like they are all using their technology, their AI system to engage with each other. So we are losing definitely the human connection more and more. And I was talking about this with someone, and I always talk about this. I think that we are going to have a huge mental health epidemic in the future because of like everything that is happening with technology and especially AI and how we are making the use of this technology in our daily lives.
In terms of interaction with AI, I think there's the power for creators, for people who want to do their own thing. You go from needing an entire team to start just a prototype to one person to test. I think that's a really powerful thing for AI, using AI. In terms of interaction with each other, I think it's true even when we thought about, the digital age of cell phones, how that's changed the interactions with people. There's the good and also the bad. It really depends on your choice on how you use it.
Sorry, and let me just add something else. And I still think like we'll have a movement of like the opposite, which we are seeing, like the offline movement, where like we completely disconnect and we are going to a camp all together without cell phones. We are going to talk to each other and we are going to experience this human connection, which seems like so magical, right? So it's like we are going to go to the other way. It's like now everybody's online all the time, 24/7. Then we are starting to move in the future, hopefully, to like, no, I don't want to be connected at all. I want to be connected person with person, right? So I see the shifts moving as well. A lot of people that are online, they are like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something completely different.
I have a personal anecdote to share. So I've seen how, my parents are back in India, and the age that they grew up in, English is not their first language. They can speak it, but you would know that it's not their first language. So I've seen how my mom uses AI to, for small things like sending out party invitations. She would ask AI to draft something for her. She's a doctor, so she has to go to lectures and give presentations. So she would create slide decks with the help of AI. So I've seen how it has helped her communicate out to her peers, her friends. But then I've also seen the other side, like a friend in San Francisco who was going through a tough time. He talks to Gemini a lot. Like any decision he needs take, he talks to Gemini. So, I sometimes worry that rather than leaning on his friends, he leans on Gemini. So yeah, I hope in the future, people are mindful that AI is a wonderful tool. The way I've seen my mom use it, it made her more confident, but still closer to her friends and her peers. But also not lose sight that you can lean on, and you should lean on your friends and your family when you're going through a tough time.
That, our event is concluded. Thank you so much for our lovely speakers. And I guess we'll just say that AI, you should not lean on it first, lean on your human side first. Thank you so much to Qlay and everyone and our sponsors. Thank you.